Grateful to the Department of Government and Public Administration, lovely Professor University, Punjab. I'm grateful to the departmental officials, head of department, and the university administration, Rajendra Kaur, and all faculty members. And good evening to all learned dear participants. I'm going to make a presentation on Right to Information Act 2005. And on behalf of the lovely Professor University, I welcome you all. I begin with this particular thing that when we have any idea about RTI, we should have some material with us. The first one is Right to Information Act. It is a bare act of central government, parliamentary law, a copy of that, which is gazetted one, either English or Hindi, in which you are comfortable. Secondly, there is a set of rules, that is Right to Information Rules 2012. Besides, there are certain circulars issued by central government and different state governments. Those circulars are also important. And several high court and other courts have announced several judgments. These judgments are also important for us. Besides, we can also see all this thing called RTI Gateway of India website. Everything is available here. So these are the minimum things which we require to get a basic idea about the RTI. Here there is a section number 27 of the Act, within which there are two sets of rules have been declared by central government. And in 2012, both the rules have been replaced by its present rule, that is Right to Information Rule 2012, and it is at present in use. We tried to have another set of rules of Right 2017, but we couldn't get it through. Therefore, rule of Right of Information Rules 2012 is available here. These two rules are now no more available. So these are the requirements which we should have. Now coming to the use side, why we are attending this particular session, why we are attending this webinar on RTI, there are only three specific reasons. Reason number one is we are common citizens of India. The right has been given to us. It means it is our right. As a citizen, it is most important for us. We are the user of the act, number one. Secondly, maybe if we are in government service or in official capacity, the public authority have designated us by a particular designation under the Act. Maybe we are CPIO, maybe we are APIO, or we are a First Appeal Authority. In case we are having this designation, then our responsibility is more important. Besides, if we are nothing, I mean to say no government position, no act position, we are simply government servant working in our department. In that way, we are service class, and we have our responsibility under Section 5, within bracket 5 of the Central Act. With this, we start here. Good governance, a key to good governance. It was 1992 when World Bank advocated for good governance, and they outlined 8 important features of good governance. Now we encircle out of these 8 only 3. Number 1 is accountable, 2 is transparency, 3rd is responsiveness. These 3 elements are important just to help and to support the present adventure, that is Right to Information Act 2005. Here, why it is a tool for good governance? Because there is a set of public authorities. So far, we were telling all these ministries and departments have government departments. Now the Act for the first time says these are public authorities. It means our authorities. If we have kept our everything on record in our lock, then there is only a key which has been given by the parliament in the hands of the people as Right to Information Act 2005. It's a key through which we can open the lock of the public authorities. Therefore, it is one of the tools of good governance. By way of using this RTI, we can establish the basic principles of good governance. In good governance, there is a system that we should empower people. Government is already empowered, but we should empower the people also. So as a result, we adopted right-based policy frameworks. Within that, we started giving them a number of rights. To begin with, it was a Mahanarega in 2005, followed by RTA 2005, then Right to Education 2009, then Guarantee of Public Services 2011 in Rajasthan, but in not central government, in Rajasthan, in each state normally. Then Right to Hearing only in Rajasthan state in 2012, then Right to Food 2013, Right to Rejection 2013, and 2 more rights are in the queue. One is right to health, followed by right to development. So these are the series of rights granted to us so that we become powerful person and instrument for the good governance. Now we encircle on the right to information, barring all these three other things. Before independence, we had Official Secrets Act 1923. It was Act number 19 of 1923, and it was available in the country before independence. After independence, they enacted one law, FOIA 2002. It was parliamentary law enacted by Indian Parliament, and it was passed by the Parliament. But we were not ready to accept this act. The public authorities were not okay with the act. So as a result, the act was just not in application portions like that. As a result, before that, several states also enacted some RTA Act in their respective states. To begin with, Tamil Nadu and Goa, they enacted the law in 1997, it Assembly Act, Rajasthan, Karnataka 2000, again Delhi 2001, Maharashtra, Assam 2002, MP 2003, JNK 2004, Haryana, Andhra Pradesh 2005. There were variations in the right to information. Okay, all states were enacting their respective laws. We wanted to have a uniformity in the law, and there was a slogan, one country, one law. As a result, we thought we should have another law is in place of 2002 FOIA law. Therefore, we started just discussing the things and discussed the proposed act with a number of stakeholders. And we had a consultation meeting, and finally, we enacted the law. When we enacted law in 2012, several countries joined us. Then in 2003, again countries, several countries. 2004, again country. In 2005, we brought Right to Information Act 2005. It was second and final try by the government of India. Let us see. India first try 2002, FOIA, second and final try in place of 2002, that is RTA 2005. These are the two important landmarks in the right to information. Now coming to the ranking side, as you know, the Kannada-based organization, that is Center for Law and Democracy, they are just giving ranking to the different countries. So 128 countries have introduced RTI in their respective countries. So in the world, you can say there are 128 legislations in the world. Out of these, Afghanistan is at the top. They enacted the law in 2014, followed by Mexico 2002, Serbia 2003, and Sri Lanka, Slovenia, Albania, all respective states. When coming to the India side, when ranking was done in 2011, that time India was at number 2. Again in 12, one number 2. Again in 13, number 2. But in 2014, it was at ranking number 3. In 2015 and 16, the ranking was at 4. In 17, it was at 5. In 18 and 19, 6. And finally, today, it is 7th. It means 6 more countries have given best RTI in their respective countries. These are the global right to information ratings done by Canada-based organization. When we get score in the ranking, then there are certain parameters. For example, there are 150 parameters score points. In red ink, these are the prescription, or you can say maximum points. And in the black ink, there is a score achieved by government, India RTI. In terms of right to access, we got 5 out of 6. Scope, we got 25 out of 30. Requesting procedure formalities, 25 out of 30. Exceptions and refusals, we got 26. Appeals, maximum 29 out of 30. Sanctions and protections, 5 out of 8. Promotional measures, we stood at 13 instead of 16. And total score, what we achieved in 2020 is 128 out of 150. As a result, we are standing at 7 number. Coming to the worldwide position, you can say it was United States. They enacted the law in 1966. That USA stood at 72. United Kingdom, normally which we follow, then they enacted the law in 2000. They are at 42. Finland, one of the oldest law, 1951, at 31. China, again, very popular nowadays with us, 2007. The ranking is 85. Japan, 1999, ranking is 82. But India, with a great achievement India 2005 Act at 7, which is the pride for us. This is ranking 2020 done by the Canada Organization. India is the 55th country in the world. They enacted the law in 2005. And if we rate the act as the best one, then India's RTI is rated as the 4th best one in the world. And total 120 countries have given Right to Information Act. So this is the factual information about our thing. And these are the adjectives which we would like to add. We are happy to have the act in country. Coming to the legislation side, we can say we had 2 rights in the Constitution of India. Article 19(1) A, B, C, D, and E. The first was right to freedom of speech, and second, right to express. While standing for speech, we had enough freedom to speak about our fake information, and we were expressing those information. But we had no valid proof from where we have got the information we are using for the common public and people. And we were just feeling this Article 19(1) is a little bit incomplete. We wanted to amend the constitutional article, but we did not do so. Rather, we went for a parliamentary law, and we decided to have a common law, a central law in the country, so that we specify the things which we cannot specify in a constitutional amendment. That is Right to Information 2005. With the enactment of this act, the Article 19(1) is now completed. Now, if we speak before the people, we can speak with relevant and authorized information. If somebody says, where it is written, from where you are speaking, then we can say it is with me. I have a proof. I have got the information under RT Act 2005. So this is the completeness of the act with a parliamentary law of the Indian Constitution, Article 19(1). Now coming to the side, why we have introduced the act? What is the reason behind it? There are certain reasons. Reason number 1, we wanted to remove the wheel of secrecy in the country. 1. Secondly, we wanted to promote transparency of information in the government. Third, we want to bring openness in administration, because these elements were lacking during British India. We wanted to promote accountability in the working of every public authority. I would like to say public authority is a word which has been used in the act for the first time from government departments. So far, we were telling them government department. Now we will say these are our authorities, our department. For example, if we want to get the license from transport department, then we'll go to the department, they will take our application, our photograph will be taken by them, and they will ask us, you can come after a few days, or we will dispatch your learning license at your postal address. So these are the things, then we can say this is our department. It is working for us. Suppose we do not visit the transport department the entire day, then what would they do? They will do nothing. They will wait for us, because we are the audience and we are the seekers. Therefore, they are our authority. They are public authority. Besides, we wanted to develop our democracy, because democracy requires informed citizen. Therefore, the act was brought. Besides, there is the empowerment of citizenry also. We wanted to preserve our information also. We never said that we are ready to provide you everything from the department. We decided not to give several information which are confidential and sensitive to the country. Therefore, RTA is a partial law. It is not a complete law to provide everything to the people. Besides, we wanted to build the capacity of the government officials also, because we are the information providers. Bureaucracies providers. PIO is a provider. EPIO is a assistant in receiving application and appeals, etc. We wanted to develop the citizens also as information seeker. We want the citizens should seek as much as information they want to take. With these reasons, we went for a parliamentary law. Then coming to the logo side, I would like to emphasize that those who are dealing with RTI, those who are providing information under the law to the people, they are working the government side or public corporation, university, etc., etc. They must keep the mind that there is a logo given by Government of India in a public meeting. So logo has been given by the Government of India just for our use. We should copy from any website of the country, and we should keep in our own unit that can be put in a header, either left or right, and we can minimize it, but we cannot defame it. So this particular logo will be used while replying the answers, while giving information, while providing any clarification, while writing official letter to the ministry, the department, so that the logo goes through your letter in different parts of the government system, and it is popularized also. Let us see how logo has been designed. This is the internal aspect. Here you can say logo is there in Hindi and English. It is a paper sheet with information on it. The public authority behind it providing the information. There is an animated person behind the paper. You can see there is a round and there is a just rectangle side. This is a authority standing. He says, I am behind information. Whomsoever will come to me, I will provide the information. Here is a public authority, or you can say PIO is standing there along with the information. On the other hand, if you see this animated person again, then it will become an I in alphabet, small I. A small I means information, which indicates there is a transparency in government, there is accountability in government. So these are the two meanings of RTA logo. So I request you, everybody, to use this RTA logo in their different government communication letters, etc. Then there are 4 aim and purposes of the Act. We want the transparencies to be enhanced, therefore the Act. We wish the accountability should be ensured. The same has been ensured in bureaucracy, because PIO is a responsible person, he is a government side person, he is a designated person by public authority. He is accountable in 30 days to provide yes or no to the people. Then improving governance. If we are citizen-centric, naturally it will improve the governance side. And we want to combat the corruption also, which is age-old in the country. So these are 4 purposes of that. We wanted to have a common single law for the country, but during that time, we enacted the law excluding J&K. And J&K came out with Assembly Act in 2009. So in a way, in 2005 and onwards, till we included J&K from 31st October 2019, there were 2 legislations. One was parliamentary, another was assembly. Now we have only 1 legislation, that is entire country, RTA Act 2005. So with this particular change from 31st October 2009, now we can say 1 country, 1 law. Coming to the structure side, Act is very small one, having 6 chapters only, 31 sections only 2 schedules. Let us have a quick review. First chapter, you can ignore, no problem. But you cannot ignore chapter number 2, which talks about 2 things. What are the rights and what are the obligations of public authority? For the first time, the lawmakers have used the term obligation, which is a quite personal word in our official letters. Normally I write, I shall be obliged, I shall feel obliged. Kindly oblige me by providing like that. So it's a particular, just a particular private word, you can say, which is used in government letters. But Act says, if public authority are doing something, it means they should feel obliged to the people. So what are those obligations available in chapter number 2? Chapter number 3 talk about CIC. If you are concerned with central government, in that case. Otherwise, if you are talking about the state SIC, then we talk about State Information Commission. These are 2 important chapters, followed by chapter number 5, which is bigger one, having powers and functions of the Information Commissioner, appeal procedures and penalties imposed on a public on a bureaucracy, particularly under the law. And then finally there is a miscellaneous chapter. So what I would like to request, if you want to have a copy of the Act, and if you're going to intend to go through it, kindly read chapter number 2 thoroughly. Chapter number 4, which is important in case you belong to state cadre or a state department. And then chapter number 5 is common for everybody. And in case of central government information, then chapter number 3 is also important here. So these are the important areas of structural act. Then coming to the designation, CPIO, APIO, FAA. These are 3 designations under the Act. And these are designation given by the public authority. Public authority just designate us under the Act. So under section 5.1, there is a provision for CPIO. Under section 5.2, there is a provision for APIO. Under section 19 within bracket 1, there is a provision for first appeal authority. Now, just coming down from the beginning, right from APIO, this person, let us see the role. He is responsible to receive applications under the RTI, appeals under the RTI, and to submit the same to the PIO within 5 days from the date of receipt, nothing more than that. He is neither subordinate to PIO, nor he is expected to obey the orders of the PIO and to provide information to everybody. He is only the postman type duties. It means PIO is not there, then he will receive the application. So receiving application and appeals and to submit to PIO in next 5 days. That's all. Then there is a PIO, CPIO you call it. He is only the person to receive application directly from the people or through APIO and to process those applications within stipulated time limit and to provide information or not to provide information to the people. So he is a provider in a way. And finally, against his orders, there is a system of appeal who will hear the appeal. And within the appeal sector, there is a first appeal authority. He is a departmental officer, senior officer in the rank of PIO, and he will hear the first appeal under the law, and he will announce his decision in 30 days normally. And after recording the regions in the file, within a period of 45 days. So 15 days will be added if he is recording the regions. After 45 days, court and others says that if he does not announce the decision as a result of the appeal, he will lose his authority. He will just lose the power. He cannot announce the decision after the expiry of 45 days because he will lose the things. Then citizen will directly approach to the commission. So here, for first appeal authority, I would say they must announce their decision in 30 days in normal way, in 45 days in anyhow. This is the chart, followed by APIO, then CPIO, then senior officer in the public authority. Now you see how many POs, PIOs, CPIOs, SPIOs are there. There is no limit under the law. The law never prescribes any limit. But law says if the department is working at the headquarter level, and they will have CPIO or SPIO in the state. If the department is going down at the regional level, then again PIO, APIO will be there. Then department is going to the district level, again there will be PIO, APIO. And final department is going to the block, tehsil and village level, again PIO, APIOs are there. So n number of PIOs and APIOs are there. There is no limit at all. The department is extending its branches. Wherever the branches are there, there must be a PIO, APIO in that case. So this is the level of organization. In Rajasthan, I would like to say there are 12,000 PIOs in Department of Rural Development, Panchayati Raj, which is one of the biggest departments in the state here. So you can see if one department is having 12,000 people, then what about education? What about medical health? What about police? There is a large number of people working just to provide the information to the law. And coming to the question, what is information? Dear friends, coming to the information side, there is n number type information. Orders are there, models are there, memos are there, contracts are there, so many things are there. Only powerful line which is written here. Besides all these things mentioned in section 2F, any material in any form is also information. If not narrated here, the same will be given to the people on their request. So this is all about information side. But the citizen should specify if they are willing to get any order, then they will specify of which department, which section, which branch, which month, which year. Need to specify because n number of orders are there. How to search for the orders which the citizen is asking? Then the Act says that citizen should specify the nature of the order, the duration, the department, branch, source, etc., etc. So the same thing is given to the person. Not only information, but record also. About the record, section 2I, it talks about any document, any manuscript, any file containing papers and note sheet, etc., any microfilm, fax copy, any image, any material available in the computer which can be produced as a material or device, all are recorded. As far as the record is concerned, from the date of application, 20 years back, 20 years before, if somebody is submitting application 2020 today, then go back 20 years, then it means today is 20th December, 20th November, okay? The 20th November 2000 to 20th November 2020. This is a 20 years. Within that, any record can be requested by the citizen and they will have to be provided. And before that, not necessary, after that, there is no need to provide. If the things are available, we should provide, but not obligatory. Section 8(1)(j). This is important section. It says there are large number of MPs in the country. There are n number of MLAs in the assemblies. They raise question, both a starred question, unstarred questions, and minister has to reply in the parliament or the assembly. If any MLA or MP is getting information from the minister in the assembly or the parliament, the same type of information asking by the citizen, the same will not be denied. He will be provided. It means as per this balance, MP and MLAs are equivalent to citizen. Both are equal side. There is no difference between two as far as information is concerned. So this is again great provision of the RTA Act. Then coming to the rights of the citizen. Normally, if you ask anybody, have you any idea about RTA? Then normally people reply, nothing, yaar, it is nothing. Simply just asking information and you provide a photocopy of that is a RTA, that's all. So in common people, providing photocopies normally treated as RTA. Okay, but this is not so. Let us see section 2(j). It talks about rights of citizen. Clearly, there are four rights. Right number 1, inspection of work, documents and records. No photocopy, just inspection. Show me your file. I want to see your recruitment file. Just show me the DPC file. I want to see that particular file containing ACRs like that. So many things are there. Just inspection of that, right number 1. While inspecting the things, we can take notes, we can get extract, and then now we can have certified copies of document in a photocopy manner. Here photocopy comes. Here the photocopy are certified. It means signed by PIO, issued by the department under RTA. Third, in case of some multiple things are there, some samples are there, then certified sample copy is also there. Need to get some sample from any department, like you can say seed sample, some milk sample like that. Many products are there. There are variety of products we can get sample. And finally, there are some forms of information. You can get information either in the form of CD or floppy or tape or video cassette or any electronic mode. But these were the popular forms at the time of enactment of the law, that is 2005. With the passage of time, floppies are now out of date, tapes are no more now, video cassettes are out of date, only CD is there, which has been replaced by DVD, and finally there is a replacement of pen drive also. But not so, CD is a still popular form. It contains 700 MB data. If you provide CD to them containing the information, that is another right. You can ask for the CD also. So these are the four rights attached with the Act. And now coming to the section 5(2), let us see. Here is a citizen. If he is making an RTA request, the request will go to PIO. In case PIO is not there, then request may go to APIO. If it is going to APIO, then APIO will receive it, and in turn he will submit to CPIO in another 5 days. It means PIO is the person who is to do under the law, just to process that request, not the APIO. APIO is only a receiver and to submit to the PIO. This is as per section 5(2) of the central law. And if appeals are there, then citizen may submit their appeal either to CPIO or to APIO. If they are submitting to these PIO and CPIO, then in turn they will forward to first appeal and second appeal authority. In case citizen says, I need not to go through CPIO, APIO, then citizen may directly submit his appeal either to first appeal authority or to second appeal authority. It means directly appeal application can be submitted, or they can submit through these two persons also. Both are the ways and means available to the common citizen. Section 6(1) is a statutory requirement under the law. Application should be accompanied by application fees. Section 6(1) talks about application fees, which is rupees 10 in normal cases all over the country. Citizens have option either to deposit money by cash or by demand draft or by Indian postal order or by banker check, and in central government or other means electronic realize that. But in Rajasthan government, there are 4 other electronic means also. So these are the various modes of making payment as application fees citizen may choose and public authority will accept. These application fees are not to be paid by those who are belonging to BPL category citizen. Now coming to the time limit for PIOs and other people. PIOs are receiving the application, they are processing the application. If any PIO is getting application in a normal way, which is general RTA request, he will have to dispose it off in 30 days. If request pertains to life and liberty of the citizen, and from the date and time of receipt in 48 hours. If it is relating to some APIO and person has deposited application to APIO and APIO is submitted to PIO, in that case 5 days later, more 35 days. And in case of third party information, 40 days. So these are the upper limits. It means CPIO is expected to expeditiously work just to provide yes or no to the citizen before the expiry of these days. If any CPIO is failing in providing information after the time limit, then there is a line written just below the slide. No response on application within the time limit is deemed refusal. It means the citizen will deem it that I have been refused by the CPIO not to provide information, and such a person will proceed to first appeal authority. Dear friends, under section 7(1), when any CPIO will get application, he has 2 options only. Either to say yes and provide information on payment basis, or to say rejection. But if rejection, then section 8 or section 9 or subsection or subpart must be specified if we are rejecting your application because information pertains to this particular section, therefore it is restricted and we will not give you this information. In case of yes, there is no issue. In case of rejection, the rejection answer or the letter will have 3 paragraphs. Paragraph number 1, we are rejecting your application as information requested by you pertain to this particular section of the Act. Second paragraph, if you are not happy with this disposal, then you can lodge your first appeal in 30 days from the date of this letter. In case of first appeal, you can submit your appeal to following appeal authority. You need to indicate the citizen, you can appeal to the authority, I'm giving you address, I'm giving you option, if you're not happy. This is called transparency. While communicating the no, CPIO should have a transparent view as per section 7(8) in 3 paragraphs. Now there is a flow chart for you, which I made it for you. Coming to the left-hand side, if there is a citizen, he is willing to get information, he will have to make a request because RTA is a right, but that can be requested by way of request. In Hindi, it is called RTA ka anurodh, prarthana, avedan. English ke andar request. Request will be given to CPIO. CPIO will process it and will answer either in 48 hours or in 30 days or in 35 days or 40 days, whichever is applicable. When the decision will be communicated to citizen, if he is happy, then RTA is okay. If unhappy, then from the date of receipt of CPIO decision, he will make first appeal in 30 days to senior officer in the department who is FAA. The FAA will receive the application, he will process in 30 days and answer or decide the case, dispose it off before expiry of 30 days. In case he is not doing so, then he will take another 15 days, just in 45 days to announce the decision, but that too with the reason that he will have to record the reasons on the file, why he is taking 15 more days. If the person is happy, from the decision of the senior officer, fine. Not happy, then from the date of receipt, in 90 days, he will proceed to CIC or SIC, whatever the case is there. If it is a state person, then CIC, a central person, then CIC. In case of complaint, the citizen will directly approach to the commission without following, without going through CPIO and senior officer. Because in case of appeal, in case of request, two channels are between the citizen and the commission, that is CPIO and senior officer. But in case of complaint, no such particular checkpoint is there. Complaint can be submitted by citizen straight away to the commission, no in between two. Now, section 545, it is applicable to everybody who is working in the government department or any public authority office. Many times, PIO receives application, he feels this application can be facilitated or can be assisted, can be supported by my friend who have basic idea about the information available, and he can help me. In such case, any CPIO may select any person or officer or employee under section 5 from in his department or in his control department, and he can just select him. For example, CPIO has selected this person, maybe this person, maybe this person. If he has selected this person, then under section 5.5, application with a cover letter will be forwarded to this selected person with the hope that please assist me. I want to reply to my citizen. I have limited time. Please quickly support me and help me so that I provide information in time. If this person is not supporting, or this person not supporting, or this person not assisting, then they will have some consequences. If somebody fails, for example, PIO, CPIO fails in providing information 30 days, in that case, the citizen will go to the commission or the appellate authority. So just say, for example, going to the commission will ask the CPIO, why you did not provide information, why? He says, sir, I wanted to provide, but I earmarked the person under section 5.4. He did not help me. As a result, I was failure one. In that case, the person earmarked under section 5.4 will be called. And in case there is a delay and there is a just unaccountability, in that case, this section 5.5 gives him a status of deemed PIO. And in that case, maybe he is given penalty under the act. Therefore, we should be aware, if any CPI is asking our assistance, we must provide. If we do not provide assistance, we can't provide, then we can refuse and we can say, hey, I have no idea about that. I can't help you. Kindly select somebody else. So this is 5.5 section, which gives the status as deemed PIO. Then there is a question of third party. Okay. The Act talks about third party. So before that, we should understand what is first party, who is second party. So first party is a person who is submitting application. It means citizen. Second party is a person who is receiving application, processing application, and providing information. Naturally, CPIO. And third party is a person who is not a person requesting information, who is a person other than the citizen, or he may be a public authority, he may be public corporation like other occasion. In that case, third party. Many times, information owned by a third party is available and held by second party. And in that case, first party requests for that information. If second party feels that information is not owned by the public authority, it belongs to somebody else, in that case, third party question arises. Then second party will approach third party in writing. They will seek the approval, whether I should disclose or not. If we say yes, then yes. If we say no, then no. In case some disclosure is there, then the person may go to the appellate authority. If appellate authority is going, the third party is going to appellate authority, in that case, there is a balance in appellate authority. Here is appellate authority mind. What he will do? While receiving such representation appeal like that, he will keep public interest in one part and harm and injury due to release of information to that particular third party in second part. If his mind just says this position, in that case, he may disclose the information. or disclosure of information may be allowed by the appellate authority. Public interest is highest priority in comparison to harm and injury, which is going to be done because of the public authority release. So this is all about third party. Only a little bit, we have limited time only. We are coming to the closer side and we have enough thing to display here. Transfer request. Let us see. For example, section 6.3 within bracket 1, within bracket 2. It says, for example, here is a citizen. He has come physically in the class, in the office of the PIO. And he says, sir, I have some RTA request. I have brought my money also, application fee also. Please give me receipt and I need the information. If CPIO just reads that application and he finds that whatever information is sought is not pertaining to his authority and information is about other authority, in that case, the act says that the CPI will issue the receipt to the citizen. He will not say no to the citizen, I will not take the application. He will receive the receipt. Citizen will go. Then CPI in 5 days will have a cover letter and will transfer the application to another CPIO or another public authority with which the questions mentioned in the RTA application is attached or the connected. In that case, the CPIO of that authority will process the application in 30 days and public authority of CPIO who has received the application will become a just postman type duty. So this is in case of transfer. It means we cannot say any citizen that we will not receive your application, whether it belongs to our department or not. We will receive it and we will transfer it under section 6.3 to respective authorities. So this is called transfer of application to other public authority in case we receive an application having questions regarding to different public authority, not regarding our public authority. Finally, then we come to the fees and cost. These are two terms, fees and cost. Let us see what are these two. While requesting for information, the citizen will pay fees. While obtaining information, the citizen will pay cost. It is under the Right to Information Rules 2012. Coming to the fees side, it is 10 rupees. Coming to the cost side, there are different costs attached to the application. Here is a cost structure under section 7.1. If CPIO is going to provide information, then he will decide in either 48 hours or 30 days or 35 days or 40 days. Within that limit, before the expiry of these dates, he will just get the cost and provide information. In case citizen asking for photocopy, then he will charge rupees 2 per photocopy charges. If citizen asking for inspection of record, in that case, for first hour free, remaining 15 minutes, 5 rupees per 15 minutes after the expiry of 1 hour. If he's asking for information CD, then 50 rupees per CD. If 2 CDs are there, 100 rupees. Okay, CD will be burned by the concerned PIO office and CD will be stamped and signed by the PIO and will be given to the citizen. Kindly keep in mind, whatever information you are going to provide them should be certified so that he can use it and he can say, I have got it under the RTA. Citizen is below poverty line, then he will get free information. Neither he will make payment for rupees 10 at the entry point, nor he will make payment at the exit point. It means while taking information. In India, BPL, it means people belonging to poverty line are free to use RTI Act while submitting application. No application fees will be 10. While getting information, no cost of information. One section which is most important, we should keep in mind, section 7.1. For example, if we lose our limit, we fail to provide information within the limit, which is 48 hours, 30 days, 35 days, 40 days, then Act says the CPIO, after the expiry of that limit, may provide information free of cost to the citizen. In that case, he will not charge cost because he has failed to provide information in time. After failing, he can provide information free of cost under section 7.1. Then last site, some excess is designed. I said RTI is not a complete law, absolute law. It is a partial law. When it says provide information, it also says not to provide information. When coming to the not to provide information, in that case, the information not to be disclosed if information pertains to sovereignty, integrity, security, strategy, and interest of the state under Section 8(1)(a). If information pertain to the contempt of court, some forbidden information, law and tribunal, etc., then 8(1)(b). If breach of privilege parliament assembly, then 8(1)(c). Then commercial secret, trade secret, and intellectual property and third party petition, 8(1)(d). Information available to persons, scheduled legislation, 8(1)(e). Information in foreign government, confidence, 8(1)(f). Endangering people, source of information, 8(1)(g). Process investigation impeding, 8(1)(h). Personal information of any person, privacy of individual, 8(1)(i). Cabinet papers, record, etc., 8(1)(j), and Section 9 copyright matters. So these are the things. If we detail them, it will take a lot of time. So it is only the Section 8 which prohibit not to provide information. Here access is denied. Then there are two-step appeal under the Act. To begin with, we will be at information level. We will be with CPIO. We'll submit application, wait for the time. If we receive any communication, you either say yes or no. If you are happy with us, with the CPIO, then fine. If you are unhappy with the CPIO, then within the same public authority, we'll approach to first appeal authority. But how, when? In 30 days from the date of receipt of CPIO information. If he is communicating the decision, fine, we are happy. If we are unhappy, again we are going outside public authority, which is CIC or SIC. This is outside organization, independent body, constituted under the law. When? Within the 90 days from the date of communication of the first appeal authority. But when the decision will be communicated to us, we cannot bind him. There is no binding on the commission because commission is a constitutional body. It is a civil procedure code, court order. There is a court type organization. It is a quasi-judicial organization. And whatever judiciary is doing, the same activities are doing by the commission. In that case, we cannot prohibit or we cannot just prescribe the time limit for the CIC or the SIC. They will announce their decision as per their proceedings, and the same will be uploaded on the website for everybody because it is announced in the open court. That's all. So these two persons are within the public authority, and commission is the outside agency. There is a CIC for the central government. There is a SIC for each state in the country. Closing side. What I want to say, if you want to minimize the RTI in the department, then you voluntarily declare your information under Section 4. Just declare on website and update from time to time. If your Section 4 declaration is fine, then naturally you will reduce the receiving application from the people. Because people will see the website, they will be happy with the information provided by you. In that case, they will not ask for any RTI. So kindly be loyal to the organization. If you are working as a nodal officer or the PIO, there your department information should be uploaded in 17-column pro forma, prescribed under Section 4(1)(b). So if it is done, then RTI will be minimized. Kindly keep in mind that whatever information you are holding, any information held by public authority under the control of public authority is to be given. And on the other hand, there is Section 24(4), Schedule 2, in which Government of India has notified several organizations which are intelligence one and security organization. There will be no effect of RTI in such organizations. So no RTI will be effective on such organization. The number is near about 25 or more than that. Under Section 8, 9, and 10, we need not to provide information. So this is all the things. And now there are certain challenges which we feel in the RTI because most of the people are not aware about the RTI and their rights. There is a low public awareness about the rights. This is a problem because n number of PIOs and APIOs are there. We are having provision for PIO, APIO in the first appeal authority, but we do not have any effort to just educate our people. because the number is high. 1.21 billion people are there who are having right to information. How to train them, how to make aware them. Okay? There are certain measures through which we can aware, but awareness is lacking. Secondly, there is a backlog of appeals. Many appeals are lying pending before the commission because commissions is also just under the threat. Maybe there are certain states where commission is vacant, positions are vacant. There is no commission. Coming to Rajasthan, there is no CIC, there is no IC. Okay? Commission is headless organization now at present. So many states are having some commission problem, and many states are equipped with their commissioners. Okay, so backlog is there. Then there is misuse of act also. Many people are just misusing it because of some other benefits. Their applications are giving them. They are getting information, doing nothing. Then there is a group of people who are activists. In way, activist means the person who is habitual of getting information, submitting application to different public authorities. They are seeking information. They have some mistakes. They want to get information. What to do? Nothing is clear. But their basic objective is just to attack on the corruption side, to just highlight the issue, and to make it in a public domain. This is an activist role. So there is a lot of activists working in their area. They are good. They are working well. But very many things are coming out because of their efforts. Then there is normally many public authorities indicate that several people have some revengeful attitude of information. They want to obtain information with some revengeful attitude. They want to make use of those information in some revenge matter. So there are certain complaints in Rajasthan also. People are just asking information for nothing. Just they want to take revenge from the head of department, head of office, their attendance, their presence, their leave application, their leaving, their tour, etc., etc. Information is being sought by the people. And whenever there is one more question. Whenever there is a RTA in the department, there is a fearful environment in the department. The RTA becomes a issue of discussion. The people, oh, we have got an RTA. Oh, such and such person has filed an RTA. So RTA is not a very welcome step in the public authorities. There is a fear in the people. Okay, RTA has been. If you are using RTA in your own department, you are making application in your own department, then there will be different negative attitude to your provider. Oh, he's asking RTA. He's using RTA in my office. So there is a just fearful environment. These are some of the challenges. There are more challenges, but a notable few are here. Now I close the presentation here. Suppose RTA is a law. Okay, right. If I am a law, I am an RTA, then just treat me as an RTA. I am RTA. I declare I have completed 15 years of my existence in the country. I came in the country on 12 October 2005, and last month in 2020, I am 15 years old. I will continue to exist in the country so long the country has this particular RTA. So I declare that I will end the culture of secrecy in the country. I declare that I will institutionalize the culture of openness in government. Again, I declare that the people will get more transparent system and increase accountability in government. There will be greater transparency and increased accountability in the government. I declare that due to my use, since I am RTA, the people will be informed. There is a result of informed citizenry. I declare that because of me, there will be a better understanding of government decision making in the people. People will get enough idea about the government and its functioning because of RTA. I declare that because of me, people will be effective in politics. They will effectively participate in politics. They will elect, they will select, they will contest election for MLA, MP, ward, punch, like that, and they will come into the power. They will get enough opportunity to come into the government system. So in a way, RTA declared that because of me, more effective participants of people will be done in political process. I declared that when people will use me, then people will think, oh, we have a confidence in government. We have a trust in the government. The trust and confidence both will grow up because of RTA. RTA again says, when people will use me, then all government departments will become efficient. Their service will be delivered effectively. They will deliver the service in a desired manner, in a quick manner. There will be a promptness in service delivery because there is a service guarantee act also in several states, and they are providing guaranteed services within hours, days, and months and years together. And finally, which is most important, I would like to open it. Nowadays and before RTI, lots of record management offices are lying there. They are closed, locked. Their white ant are there. Then some rain is affecting the record. Record is just having dust. Nobody is going to open it. We open only when we require a particular record. But when the Act says we will provide you 20 years old record, now the Act says now I have improved all record keeping and record management system in government department. Because of my presence, most of the departments have managed their records. They've updated their record. They are regularly opening their record rooms, and there is a particular clerk looking after as record keeper. So this is because of me I have made the record in a better manner. Otherwise, these were just a neglected area of office administration. So these are the declaration of RTI. RTI is going to declare these things in the end. And with this, there is a thanks from my side. Now I just close my presentation here and appear before you as a presenter here. Yes, please.